New dawn. Just a couple more years, then it's laughter and tears. No more plastics from toothpaste, plastic bags or toothbrushes, in albatross guts or whale stomachs. No more shipped goods or containers of emptiness, shitloads of nothingness. Just an ocean-wide sigh of relief. Okay, cryosphere. We are now at 13.2 thousand cubic kilometers of Arctic sea ice volume on February 25th. So we've gone from 13.3 on February 11th to 13.2, and on February 11th the estimate for when we would go to 13.2 was February 24th to 26th, so it's quite accurate, right in the middle of that. And for the next line, 13.1, the estimate is to go there by March 11th. So when you view this plot, you see two or three pretty flat graphs, 2011, 2012, 13, and the blue graph is very, very different. So it's sort of breaking free from more or less all other years in a very dramatic fashion. You have an indicator up here how dramatic it is. November 2020, if the current collapse rate is continued, this line will go down to 0. And 0 in this case means there will be absolutely no ice in the entire year in 2020, because this is annual average volume. So 2020, that's like 3 years from now. So yeah, this is a pretty brutal decline right here. There's only this part that is actual recorded observations, recorded data. This is just a prediction for the near future. And a new thing in this graph is an estimate for the maximum volume for late winter or spring, and it's very, very low. 17.7. That's like, compared to the previous lowest maximum in 2011, which was 22.7. This is 5,000 cubic kilometers less ice volume than 2011. So the estimate is for 17.7 to 18.9 thousand cubic kilometers, but that's assuming that maximum will be hit in late February to mid-March, and that's not necessarily the case. It could still peak in late March or in April. But anyway, so we'll look into this November 2020 thing, the next plot. So here is November 2020, the month, and you have 2020 here, which is larger with this estimate, and the most likely year so far, based on all the other estimates, is 2021. Biggest font here. And the most likely decade is, of course, next decade, 2020s. So 2020 November is down here. So if we follow the green trend line, we will lose all the ice by 2035. And current collapse rate, we will go down to 2020, losing all ice, all winter ice by 2020. And also, according to most experts, along with the ice, industrial civilization will also collapse, crash and burn. And for reasons that I will get back to later today, I'm thinking more like 2020, closer to 2020 than 35 anyway. So. Yes. So there's been a lot of crude and harsh criticism of the Royal Dutch Shell lately. And it's very easy, isn't it, just to sit there and criticize, you know? But I found some very genuine reasons to view Shell and Big Oil in a much nicer light. There's reason for much optimism. So, see here that actually both Shell and Exxon and BP and Chevron, they're all actually really into environment. So I say that Shell provides energy responsibly, helping the world move towards a future where the energy used causes minimal impact on the planet. Inside environment, and you can also see it's very it's actually very green fields here. Yeah, have some oil tanks, oil refineries or something, maybe just fuel tanks. It's very green, next to the facility. So that tells you that Shell is very serious about this green stuff. For Chevron, environment, protecting people and the environment is a Chevron way value that guides our actions so that we get results the right way every time. That's very positive. And BP, biodiversity and sensitive areas. Biodiversity is, to have a high number of species of insects and plants and animals. Diverse biomass. We take steps to understand and manage the potential impacts of our operations on protected and sensitive areas. BP operates in diverse environments around the world, from the desert to the Arctic Sea. Some of these areas may be of cultural significance, important for protected or globally threatened species. Ecosystem with outstanding biological, geographical, or social value. Then we have Exxon, environmental management. ExxonMobil employs structured management processes across an asset's life cycle to ensure we effectively identify and understand the actual and potential impacts of our activities. ExxonMobil is committed to operating in an environmentally responsible manner while providing the energy needed to power the world's progress. So, protect tomorrow. So this is quite impressive, I think. So what we can see here is that the first premise, P1, is a big oil generally cares for the biosphere. And the second premise, the big oil keeps pumping and selling product. P3, big oil knows product is warming Earth. P4, big oil knows warming is melting Arctic sea ice. P5, big oil knows winter blue ocean equals civilization collapse. P6, big oil knows civ collapse, good for the biosphere. So the conclusion of all of these premises, to which you may agree or disagree in whole or in part, their conclusion is that big oil wants to crash civ to save the biosphere. So what we see here is actually that the goddamn oil companies, the big oil, are actually our allies, you know? Big oil with their militaries and their corrupt governments. They are working on our team. So, not that we need them anymore for, what all these positive feedbacks, the feedback mechanisms in the Arctic and on the planet. What I actually mean is that these days Mother Earth is in charge. She's running the show now. It doesn't really matter if big oil were to cease their activity tomorrow, because we have already emitted so much carbon. It's like way, maybe 50 years too late to start doing anything. So it's good to know that you have the world's largest military and biggest financial interests in the world backing your cause, for once. So yeah, the past week there's a newly discovered and a very strong feedback mechanism, which is the warm and cold layers of air and ocean are shifting. So it used to be that, in the Arctic Ocean, where you have sea ice or have had sea ice for as long as humans have been around, uh, the lowest 1.5 kilometers of air would be in what's called an inversion. That means that the lowest layer of air is actually colder than the layer that starts on 1.5 kilometers up in the air, and the same thing for the ocean layer. So you would have the coldest part of the Arctic Ocean would be the top layer with the ice on top, and that system served the ice very well for thousands of years because it kept the area where the ice is the coldest. So what's happening now the past 2 years and more into the near future is that this the lowest kilometer of air is now changing into being the warmest part of the atmosphere. So you will have the hottest air closest to the ocean surface, and that's the same as over the Atlantic or any other ocean on Earth. So basically, the Arctic Ocean is becoming a regular ocean. And once you lose sea ice for a month or half a year or an entire year, same thing will happen in the ocean layers. So you will lose the ice first, and then the salinity and the temperature layers in the ocean will mix, and you will jump around to a new state where you have colder water further down and warmer water at the surface. So the warmest water in the Arctic Ocean will be the top layer, and you will have no ice forming whatsoever, like a year or two after. So it's like a very definite shift. It's definitely coming, guys. We are getting an ice-free Arctic. And with the sun albedo effect feedback, you will, if not cook or boil the ocean, you will certainly heat these guys. These methane hydrates, which are thawing in the seabed. It will be even hotter. So more and more of these guys will be released, and yeah, so there goes agriculture and civilization and shopping malls and food stores. So we will very definitely have climate change civilization collapse. And that's the good news. Bye!